Take your name. Lay the letters in the press of your jaw, lock them in with your resolve that no one misreads this beautiful thing, this gift to yourself, the first poem you will hear in your own voice. After you print your pages, line up your many spines, lay each in the arms of the other, every piece embracing what came before and what has yet to pass. And now you may pick up the needle and thread yourself together. You may find the end product rough. You may want to trim away the edges, smooth it down, take care. Like paper, you are a limited, precious resource. When you pick the soft fabric of your cover, you may worry about the genre that they will try to assign you. Rest easy. And no, not all of our endings need to be tragedies. Not all of our bodies need to be mysteries. You might not fit tidy in this library. You might clash on every coffee table. Don't despair. Pick the cover that will hold you best, that will protect you and all your softness, your pages, your chest, your resolve when some inevitably get it wrong. So you glue and you press and you wrap, even at the price of a full breath, all so they will know your title, so they won't write their own across your face. You are no blank notebook. You are gold embossed. You are heavy with ink. And when they try to skim through you, you will not break, no matter the calloused hands, the way that some will try to tear your name in half. One day, you will be ready, and you will be read by all the best people. They will call you their favorite. They will never forget your title. They will never push your story into the margins. They will read you the poem of your name again and again. They will carry you everywhere. The dyke grows up to be a coyote. And not just because it eats pussies in suburban backyards, but also in how it haunts the edge of night and is reviled in that way that inconvenient, inedible things are reviled. Softness worn into wire worn into a trail of bones. Every time a naive boy calls it a good dog, he ends up with a jumped fence, his heart buried in the backyard. It wasn't hungry. It was just sick of being seen as a sleeping animal on the living room floor. The line between sleeping and rug is too thin. It knew all those boys wanted was its skin. Worms. That boy, sour like roadkill left on the roadside in the Kansas summer, looked cute for a moment as he dog-paddled toward me from the shore. I hate him, the dull kind of hatred that goes slim when it goes unfed. There was the boat. There was the water. There were the lakeside homes of those whose lives were defined by docks and boats and fishing lines, and if you ever needed worms, you could find worms. Sitting on the boat, there was the boy, me, the worms hooked and wriggling. I impaled their thrashing bodies. I understood suffering to be inevitable. I buy bins of worms these days. I take them home. I spill them into the compost bin and watch as they seek and feast and live just as I seek and feast and live. My friends, I will be back with apple cores and so many skins, all for you. I'm from Colorado Springs, and Colorado Springs has a bit of a fraught history with guns. This next poem is called Mental Illness Testifies. in the cases of Charleston, Colorado Springs, Orlando, and countless others. Not guilty, Your Honor. I've taken the blame for a lot of bloodshed, but this, I can't be sure, but this doesn't sound like me. See, I've been all over the world, and it is only here that I find myself on this stand again and again. And don't get me wrong, Your Honor. I'm about a saint as much as a hurricane's a breeze. But this... See, I tend to make it so people don't fit too well. Like a cog that keeps slipping until they're removed from the machine, but this seems like the outcome of the machine working perfectly. I'm a good scapegoat, though, right? For all your white cloaks, your good boys, your boys will be. What's that saying again? If you teach a man to fish, and you teach him his life is worth more than the entire ocean, he'll leave nothing, just a red sea, thousands of bodies floating. Don't be surprised. There will be a next time, and my hands will still be clean. This is the newest poem in the book. I started working on the book, and then I wrote this poem, and then I was like, I can make room. I am trans, so I form myself like the castles I made at 5 years old from sand and salt and the sound of my mother laughing out my hair as my dad splashed her with a handful of surf. I'm trans, so I craft myself atop the workbench, the one that sat in my grandmother's basement, the only thing I knew of my grandfather, rotary saw gleaming like a monster's teeth. I'd imagine it roaring to life when I pulled the lamp cord and sprinted up the stairs through the dark. I'm trans, so I write my name in sidewalk chalk in front of my childhood home, the one that looked like all my neighbors' friends' houses, the blank slates we painted ourselves onto with couches and posters and the smells of our parents' cooking. I'm trans, so I know I am born out of this world, like the spring leaf knows it was once water in the roots, like water knows it was once a wave that rose from the sea. I can't be the first and only. In my bloodline, if I followed the veins down to the soil from which I came, I know I'd find you. You who stared into the mirror like a stranger. You who wrote your yearning in ink. You who wrapped yourself in the tightest cloth. You who painted your lips just to finally see your face. You who shuffled the letters like tarot cards across a table trying to divine your real name. Did you dream of me too? I want to shout across the tide of time, to write across the floors and walls of every cave. I want to claw backward through the years and strata just to hold your hand. If I can be loud enough, maybe time will bend and my voice will find you on a whisper of wind. Here I am, just like you. We were never alone. Thank you. Let's see. How am I on time? Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, in 4. Okay. Really fast. Let's see. This poem is called On Starting Testosterone. I only know of dogs who, if they fear a gender, fear men. Since I've grown out my hair, these dogs are no longer afraid of me. Recently, I was working in my yard, I bent down, and when my hair, blonde then as my mother's, fell across my face, I watched a black widow crawl up the strands. I shook her down and let her live. When my goats cry to me in the morning, it sounds like they're yelling, "Mom!" And this is one of the best roles I've ever played. Weekends roll around, and I get Sunday dad energy. I want to make everyone pancakes. I want to build a birdhouse. I want to bow down on my knees before my tomato plants and work. I put my hand on my hip and one on the hose. If it's hot, I'm shirtless. And I imagine the summer sun burning me until I'm ash. I imagine the earth holding me until I am as hard as stone, the ultimate transition. What does the absence of fear feel like? I ask the dogs that see in me nothing but softness. They say, it feels like howling all night long, knowing you won't get put down for it. On Trans Day of Remembrance, 2022, I was invited to come speak at a church. I work for a queer youth center, and so sometimes I'll be asked to come speak at churches, especially on Trans Day of Remembrance, Trans Day of Visibility, to talk about what that means, to talk about especially what queer youth are facing and what trans people are facing. And so I went to bed that night, ready to talk about Trans Day of Remembrance, and I woke up that morning to the headlines about the Club Q shooting. And that was a club that I had been to multiple times where friends of mine worked. And I didn't really know what to do with myself, but I figured this is a very affirming church, so I guess if there's a place to go, maybe it's this one. And so I went, and the service was very different, of course, and I spoke, and I don't know even what I said, but I remember sitting down and thinking, God, we deserve better holidays than this. And then I looked at my phone and found out that Daniel had died, and he is someone who had been in my living room countless times, getting haircuts, and who was really beloved. And I wrote this poem in the pews. Trans Day of Rage. Trans Day of Vengeance. Trans Day of bleeding bigots. Trans Day of not being the bigger person. Trans Day of every statistic and gunman shattered by heels. Trans Day of we're going to make our own world. Trans Day of we are the ones we've been waiting for. Trans Day of morning coffee in bed. Trans Day of never having to explain our bodies or our language. Trans Day of eyeliner and glitter and body hair and flashing lights. Trans Day of dancing until we can't anymore. Trans Day of coming home. Trans Day of no apologies. Trans Day of fucking forever. Trans Day of unabashed faggotry. Trans Day of free surgeries and hormones. Trans Day of living a long, long life. Trans Day of I love you. Trans Day of I love you. Trans Day of I love you. Trans Day of get home safe. Trans Day of I will see you in the morning. Thank you.